What's up, guys? Vince right here. Welcome to some content that I usually never make, and that is me doing video game reviews. And I just played Outer Worlds on the Switch. It was on sale a couple months ago or something, and I know that I pretty much, it took me a while to actually finish this, and rightfully so because I like games that takes forever to finish, and I love games that are open world based and pretty much there's just so much. But though this game is huge, though it's like pretty much it has a huge concept. You're going to planets on planets. I get it, Ratchet and Clank, and other, Starfield, or whatever. They have games. There's games out there that is, based in, a universe that pretty much you go different areas around. But I don't know. Even though this is somewhat like, because Ratchet and Clank is another, like, it's huge, it's humongous, like, going to planets that easy. This game itself brings it, like, I guess a little realistic. Well, actually, not even realistic, because, let's be honest, in this day and age, space travel, doing, like, noticing how easy it is, especially, like, good old Elon Musk actually just creating this universe that is just this future of like space travel, how it's easier and more affordable and stuff like that, as he put it. It's getting crazy, and that's what brought me to knowing that for this game, though it's sci-fi, though it's something like that, there's just something about it that felt very old school. Like, the technology, like there's no touch screens, or just there's no, like, it felt like, if space was going down in the 90s, like in the 90s and during our current technology, if we were in the 90s, like with the whole, like, if anyone's old enough to remember pagers or MP3s or whatever, in cartridges, like stuff like, if you're old enough, then basically this game was sort of like imagine in the 90s, but we're in that level of space travel. And what's crazy about this game itself is that, and pretty much this is not a spoiler, but noticing, like, different planets and how humanization basically began and how it's going if they left Earth, and pretty much knowing the mysteries behind Earth is something that really drives my interest in this game. Not only that, but the characters, the main six characters, well, actually five. Sam is cool, but like, he's freaking clean, but I don't think there's anything interesting surrounding that. I'm sorry, don't mean to be robotist, but I don't care about this clean machine. I don't really see anything about it. Pravati is, pretty much loves Sam in a sense. I love seeing, like, two of them connect. And as you collect different people surrounding the, space station. Look, in this game, just like GTA, well, except, I don't know which one's more, like, gruesome, because both of them are gruesome. There's some gruesome parts in this game for sure. Nothing crazy, but definitely some gruesome parts. But, you basically can make any decisions you want. You can kill whoever, you can ransack anyone, you can steal everything if you want. And, it's kind of like, my stealing senses, especially, I know for, when I played Fallout, specifically Fallout 3, I think, and also Skyrim, which is basically the creators of this game. Obsidian, pretty much they did help with Fallout New Vegas and some of the other games by Obsidian, and also some other games involving that kind of gameplay like Skyrim. You know what I mean? And for this game itself, kind of really sort of brings that, in many Bethesda games, like, that I've seen. I'm not sure if this was from Bethesda, but it's from, like, it's sort of like a, as I would call it, like a half cousin of Bethesda, because you can definitely see the influence from Skyrim and Fallout, and especially Fallout New Vegas, which really want me to actually play the game. I was like, yo, I gotta check that game out. This game sort of really carries that, the tradition, the gameplay mechanics, but in space. And it's so futuristic, but very nostalgic at the same time. It's like old school, but you're in space, You're in the time, it really follows that era of, like, Star Trek, like old school Star Trek, when I really think about this game, especially how it mentions the cereal, like, as not cereal, like, Frosted Flakes, but, they call it the series, TV show cereal, and They really mention like the series, like, oh, space series, oh, we're going on an adventure just like this episode from this space series or something. And I really do enjoy the gameplay mechanics and just how, even though like it's open world in its own sense, there's different ways you can go around places. You know, one of my favorite places to go to is both Monarch, and also Byzantium. Byzantium is just this very cruel yet very spunky place. I don't know about royalty itself. It really drives in that, you know, stereotype like, oh, we're so fancy. Oh, we're so fancy. Oh, get rid of these peasants. Oh, that kind of freaking stereotype. It really drives in that. Like there's certain stereotypes in this game where I'm like, okay, I get what you're trying to do here. Okay, I get it. I totally get it. Especially Monarch being like, a landscape of just like, just like for the outlaws or something. Like it's basically rundown Texas, but especially, even though it's like a different planet. And though you play this game, you're given with a certain planets, but there's like, it just didn't feel enough because there was a bunch of other planets that didn't get you to go to those places. And as soon as I realized when I finished it, I was like, oh, those are DLCs. You want me to, that's just like a very interesting way of advertising, like, game money out of this game. And, that's pretty much a smart way of doing it because, rightfully so, I want to visit the other planets in Halcyon, and of course, here on Earth in, as I'm just going to pull a Neil deGrasse for you guys, even though I would suck at it. Me talking about gas planets and nova stars, I'm just like, yeah, I would fail. I'll get an F. But you know, here on Earth, we have our own solar system. It's basically called the solar system. I don't know other names to tell you. So in Halcyon, it's their own solar system, but they mention Earth. They mention basically the actual solar system. What happened to Earth is always like a mystery that I still try to find out. And I feel like I played the game only 50%, knowing so much about it, even though I finished a good amount of it. And the only time I would actually, the only way I can actually get through like 100% of the game is if I spend a couple of dollars to actually unlock the other DLCs to go to the other planets. But in this world of Halcyon, there's just something about it that really brings the sense of mystery of what humanization would go through, of what it would be. And you can tell, and this is no spoiler, but you can tell in this game that humanization is getting screwed health wise, especially how they eat this thing called soul tuna. I'm like, okay, that's very bad, and of course some of you that are younger, you probably don't care about, like I wouldn't say like, certain, young folks care about their health or something. But for me, especially in the state I am, let me tell you, soul tuna, I think I would die, honestly. Okay, the amount of sodium just in that word alone, salt and tuna itself, like, come on, that's got to be mad salty. And the stuff they eat, like boars and whatever, even though they don't show the food, like, they talk about it in a sense of like being passionate. Like there's something like a blueberry toothpaste. Like, get fruity and you just pour the toothpaste. I'm like, what is that? So there's this sense of this world in Halcyon, the dispense of just like, of people just pretending like everything's okay, especially in Byzantium, people like wanting to be rolling up high to the point where, and this, I don't know if this is a minor spoiler, but there's like a group family in Byzantium that's literally like try to, and man, this is gonna sound crazy, but lied about their daughter being dead in order to get more money. Like just the outlandish effed up ish that you can think about what these people that are willing to do for the amounts of greed is insane. There's this like one mission that is so freaking annoying. I wish no one actually will play it, but it's basically you have to collect every single fashion item, but it's very specific, very precise on the different fashion items. Like, of course, there's armor in this game, but you gotta get like what you have to get. Like, oh, you gotta get an iconoclast helmet, but it has to be this specific helmet from this specific person that you have to kill and also this specific suit from this mortar. And also you have to steal this freaking like certain Raptidon thingy majig, and it's like, are you freaking kidding me? And the award is just at that point I think that was the only mission that I gave up. And there's some missions. Well, actually, that's basically the only mission in this game where you're like, what do I do? And there's some missions where, because in this game itself, you have to basically save a lot. You know how, hey, you want to load a save? You're going to do that a lot, knowing that the decisions of your game, the decisions basically is going to really counter, and especially the reputation decrease and increase. And that's very important in this game, because who's running Halcyon is the board, and if you decrease it, there's certain areas in Halcyon, in the map, or of course different planets, that you, when you go there, you will get hunted down because the decretion of the board. And there's certain aspects of the game that really brings back a lot of nostalgic, Star Trek, Back to the Future, especially the main doctor that you're first introduced. Really reminds me of like Great Scott, that guy from Back to the Future. I forget the characters. I'm sorry, but man, this game is just so good. The gun mechanics, you have to be a good COD shooter, that's for sure. When you play this game, and also like how it really, brings like a certain type of sci-fi, satisfaction. This game really wants me to play other sci-fis, and it's not a bad thing knowing that it's like an old schoolish sci-fi, because when I was playing it, I can't help but think like, okay, somebody from the 80s probably made a book called The Outer Worlds and put this in the game. And, whoever's making this game, Obsidian, that is actually trying their best to be very authentic to the book. But there's times where I just wish things were just a bit more cleaner. Everything just looks all gunky and old, like the computers. Yet we're in space. Realistically, in this future that we're living in, especially if I put real life logic, and seeing NASA and also SpaceX, if you type these, you see the rocket launches, how they're very, especially the ISS, the International Space Station, how everything's like very clean, how very futuristic is, and in this game it just looks old, looks like you're driving a wagon in space. Doesn't make sense. I kind of wish it just didn't do that. But at the same time, I think I get what the aesthetic they're trying to go for. But I can't help but feel like, are we in the 1940s, but in space? What the heck am I looking at, I just wish it had a new spin. Also, I want to talk about the characters. Parvati, definitely a sweetheart. She's one of my favorites. I was looking at her, I was like, that is definitely kind of like the little sister of the group. She's like this, rundown, especially when you enter the first, like, mission, first level. She's the first kind of like companion you're introduced, and you get like 6 companions, and one of them is Parvati, very kind, sweethearted. One thing with, especially a sweetheart, like, you would think she's young, but she's like 28. I'm just like, oh crap, didn't know that Parvati is like older than me. Even though she's still adorable, but there's just a lot of these young vibes, especially from these other characters, all except Vicar Max. Vicar Max is or Vicar. I'll just say Max. I don't know how to really say that correctly. Vicar or whatever. But another person you're introduced to the same area that Parvati is from. That Vicar Max is definitely like, I would say a pastor. Just a person that I keep thinking like he would be a mentor, but he's more like, I tend to carry him most of the missions, knowing that, he has a lot of logic. He's the kind of like the smartest one because of his sense, and also the most like, thinkable person. Like, I feel like he will be that type of person. Like, listen, think about what you're doing, that kind of thing. And Parvati is usually the, she's basically the character that's like, I don't know about this, Captain. I really don't know. I wouldn't say like, like from Rick and Morty. I don't know about, not like that. But she really does sort of like kind of remind me of that, except, she's more smarter, and, she's more sensible, and she's like, still, especially like knowing how strong these characters are. But for Parvati, it just feels like she's supposed to be the main character. because she's just so kind. And Max just brings this like very nurturing leadership through him, especially how he's kind of like just this, like I don't know, like again, like this teacher, even though he isn't. He's kind of a guy with a certain amount of anger of something and tries to get answers and knows about the state of the universe or whatever religion that he's in, and he used to be locked up in prison, which he keeps mentioning. But yeah, and also another person that tends to annoy Max is one of my favorites is Ellie. Ellie is definitely, which is they call her Dr. Fenhill, and she's an amazing character. I really like her. Like Ellie, really reminds me of Ellen, which is funny. When the first name, I heard Ellie, she got short hair, white like Ellen, and kind of like a younger version of Ellen in a way. But when I like heard her voice and especially how she's like a sly fox, very sneaky, a person that you have to really keep an eye on, even though like she's a doctor. There's a part of me where I'm like, okay, you're a doctor, okay, sure, whatever. And I'm getting pickpocketed by a doctor, okay. But there's just like this slickness and story behind. But once you go to Byzantium, you start to unlock more about who Ellie is and what she has been through, and then you felt a lot of like pain for her in ways. It's like, but she tends to write it like a badass. Like she's just one of those girls that are just like tries to get away and wants an adventure, and also wants a little bit more change, more money, and stuff like that. And I don't know, that's what I got from Ellie, especially someone that tries not to get along with everyone, which she does a good job of. Especially for Parvati, I will never forget. Parvati's like asking, like, "Man, how come, like we're not friends, Ellie? Like, what the heck?" And Ellie's like, "Listen, kid, you need to shut up." Something like that. She said. I'm just like, okay, Ellie, like, be nice, please. Come on, Parvati. Like, she's a sweetheart. You two are supposed to get along, and I just noticed that there's some parts of the team that I don't think that get along much. Especially with Nayoka, which is like my favorite badass. Like she's basically if Serena Williams was in space. Like she's the sickest. She's the dopest. That's definitely Nayoka. Badass. Pretty much one of the strongest, especially her abilities and stuff like that, her power abilities. She likes to drink a lot, that's for sure. Likes to like drink a lot, okay? And for her, in ways that she doesn't really like she doesn't tend to talk a lot, which is like, damn, I thought, except for Parvati. Parvati and Nayoka are definitely best buds. They are definitely best buds. And also the other final character, which I would talk about Sam, but he's just a clean robot. I don't know where he came from. Sorry. Like, damn, that could have been perfect for another character from another planet, but I guess not. I'm like, ouch. Jeez. And there are so many planets. So actually, of course, the same amount of planets we have here in the solar system. But still, in Halcyon itself, you could have gotten anyone else. Could have gotten like another badass chick, a badass dude, but no, you got a freaking robot to actually fill the sixth place. Are you serious? I'm like, not even Ada, the ship, basically. I'm like, oh man. Like Ada's dope though, Pretty much you're in this ship called the Unreliable, and you have Ada being your guidance to go to any planet for a very certain amount of speed. I'm like, logically it would take like months, but hey, whatever. This is sci-fi. But yeah, also last but not least, Felix, sorry, I've been playing Immortal Phoenix, review coming soon, but Felix is another character. Felix, in a way, I don't know if he's like me in a way. I'm just looking at him like, okay, kid, you really me? Like, what if he's Italian? But like, Felix is like a person that I feel like he would be a cool dude, and pretty much a cool person to hang out with. Talks about sports. He's a go-getter. He's basically like a very optimistic, like, yeah, let's do this. Kind of like, I wouldn't say like Sonic, but he's he tends to be very sarcastic with or kind of mean, to be honest, with Max. I don't know about him with Parvati. I haven't really discovered that one. Even though two of them actually do talk about the, different shows, which is, there's something about Felix also is that he's very into like, wanting to be in the big leagues and, be a big star or something like that, and also watches a lot of, you know, sci-fi series, and in this game. That's his character. But out of that, I don't really play him a lot. It's just a person that I don't really look forward to much to play. And this game is the type of game that really got me saving a lot, because I'm always interested to see each one of them react. I guess that's my base of the game. That is my favorite, is knowing each of their characteristics and knowing like who they are and how they've grown, and the kind of people they are, knowing that they're just like just wanting to actually have an adventure, just being out there. And there is like options to actually, basically fire them. If you don't want Ellie in your team, there's an option for that. If you don't want Felix for your team, I've been tempted to choose, but there's a part of me where I'm like, I can't. This is, even though it's a video game and they're just video game characters, there's still a part of me where I'm like, no, I can't. That would be so bad. I don't know if I would enjoy myself watching that. And I don't know. It's sad because I felt a connection to these characters, which I feel like it could have been more cooler if we had more interactions from, especially you need to bring only two. You can't bring three. But you have to only two in yourself. So it's basically, all three together and, go into battle on any planet. But how cool will it be to actually bring every single companion, everyone, all of them, even Sam, why not, bring all of them together and, just go on an adventure. How powerful. I mean, that would be cool. But maybe, of course, that would be a little too much. But you discover different areas. The stories about those areas, groundbreaker, discovering the interior and going around it was pretty fun, discovering like, hey, I can go in the vents, no way. And especially in other places, like Tartarus is a place where I really want to know more about. I'm all kind of curious, like, what is it like in the outside of Tartarus? Because you're usually in a dome. And another place is like, more Byzantium. I kind of just want to discover more Byzantium. Edgewater's okay. There's some places that I don't really care much, like Emerald Vale. But there's some places where I'm like, this is pretty interesting, stuff like this to actually discover. Skilless in a ways, it's up in the like it's almost like a moon in a ways, or a big asteroid. And I also want to discover like the other DLC planets, which I wish I had time for. But yeah, so far this game is so much. It's a lot of fun. A lot of shooting, open world mechanics, a lot of looting, that's for sure. But you can buy more loot, and also the skill tree is okay, this and there. I guess I don't have much complaints of the game. I mean, there is complaints of like, I wish we can all get along more, I wish there was more levels. I feel like I haven't finished the game, even though I did. But this game left me wanting to actually buy the DLC. It left me like I need more. And that's why I'm very curious for Outer Worlds 2 and how that would actually hold up. And knowing like, oh, are we going to get a new set of characters? Or are we actually going to see what happened with Parvati? Or what happened with Felix or Max or Ellie or Naoko or everyone, basically. And we order, especially our main character's sense of like, the heroism within them. And just like, we don't really see much, but knowing that, especially customized character. But man, there's a part of me where I'm just looking at this game, it's just like, there's a good amount of story and dialogue, and probably a lot of dialogue, and a lot of like mysteries surrounding the world, especially in knowing to discover those mysteries and discover the darkness is actually almost interesting in itself, because the people and the characters really count in this game. And you really discover more of what you get, especially for, not only killing Raptidons and killing, other mortars, and also trying to save other people and becoming a hero. Building relationships and reputation, especially among your, the people you see, is also pretty cool as well. I mean, there's a lot of things I wish I talk about this game, but I don't want it to be too long, as it already is. Other than that, definitely go check out Outer Worlds. It's definitely worth it. They say like, hey, I think Fallout series has a competition, and they do, especially the disaster of Fallout 76. Oh man. But this game kind of was like, yeah, step aside Fallout, Your time is done. It really showed it. Even though I wish there was more, but still, in a case like Outer Worlds, I don't blame it. It's kind of in some ways better than Fallout. I'm sorry. I don't know. I mean, I have to play in Fallout New Vegas to really see that for myself. And also whatever new Fallout would be talking about, whatever. And that new Skyrim that I'm still waiting. I don't know. But other than that, thank you guys for watching. Hope you subscribe, like, comment, on Jazz. Hope you made out this video. If you do, thank you so much. I'll see ya. And yeah, Spock. Sorry. Okay, I'm out of here. Peace.